Right now, under this Cancer full moon in gate 39, your biggest business frustration is not a problem. It's actually a cosmic provocation. That client ghosting, revenue plateaus, or burnout. Gate 39 says, feel that fully. Your emotional truth is the breakthrough waiting to happen. So stick around. I'll show you how to turn tonight's pressure into your next business pivot. Ready? So we are under a Cancer full moon. Now, Cancer, particularly in business, is about nurturing. It's about intuitive leadership. It's about knowing how to really excel at building strong relationships, creating supportive environments for your team, for your clients, and so on. And it's also about managing finances when you are focusing on security rather than, I suppose, expansion. And all of your skills in this area, particularly nurturing. Think of nurturing and empathy as being really key for Cancer in business. And you're going to have Cancer somewhere in your chart. So somewhere you can tap into this. But under the full moon, we're actually shining a light on this whole idea of how we are being nurturing in our business, how we are being empathetic, how we're being intuitive. So what's kind of coming through when we shine that light on it? So the first task I want you to do, maybe an audit, is to think about, and this is perhaps something to meditate, to think on after this, but really do an audit on what truly nourishes you in your business, how you are nourishing your clients in your business, and also become aware of what might be draining that energy of nourishment. Now, we are not only under this Cancer energy, we're also in gate 39. And this is some human design and gene keys that I'm bringing in as well. And a little bit of the I Ching, because I like to start from that. So hexagram 39 in the I Ching is called obstruction. And essentially, it is water over mountain. And there's sort of this image of water on the mountain and, what's being blocked? What's the obstruction? You know, if you worry too much about what's happening externally to yourself, then you get lost in the obstruction itself, is kind of the idea. So it's sort of this idea of there being this really dangerous place, like a deep valley, a deep abyss that is making the mountain really inaccessible. And we're surrounded by obstacles that are stopping us from reaching that goal of the top of the mountain. Now, in the I Ching and also in human design, because we do have gate 52, essentially the mountain gate, stillness is a really important aspect. And this is about coming within ourselves and actually seeing what needs to change within us to almost, particularly think about the full moon, this is about illuminating what is within us that can be used as a resource to move past the obstacles. So this particular gate 39 provocation energy, as it's called in human design, is about provoking within us ways to get through things that need to be overcome. So it really can be this amazing energy. So what the full moon might be shining a light on at the moment are what we would call business provocations. What's provoking you at the moment? Is it clients ghosting you? Is it this sense that you're on the edge of burnout? Are you just feeling blocked in the strategy of your business, the forward progression of your business? These are all emotional signals that are coming through the Cancer energy. Cancer is essentially amplifying this provocative energy, making us feel really the discomfort fully within ourselves. So we almost have to stop and go, what is this all about? What do I need to do to move through these things that feel often like massive blocks? It's sort of almost like this pressure of provocation is the pressure that we need to become creative. How can we pivot our offers or the way that we are marketing? Do we need to put in boundaries or expand our boundaries? What can we change or tweak about our mission? It could be something like, if you're feeling stuck with your revenue, then might be about actually considering the Cancer energy and saying, am I truly nurturing my business? Am I nurturing myself? And am I nurturing my clients? This really is a time that you can use to actually think about how visible you are, what your visibility is like, and how you are expressing yourself out in the world. So let's do a little bit of a grounding meditation to ground into this energy that we have at the moment. So I just want you to put your hand either on your heart or your belly or both. And I just want you to close down your eyes. And we're going to inhale. And as we inhale, I want you to think of bringing nurturing energy within yourself. The awareness of nurturing, how you're nurtured and how others can be nurtured by you. So breathing in and bringing that awareness in. And then as you slowly breathe out through your mouth, just release the obstacles that you sense around being able to fully nurture. And let's do it another time. Breathing in, really allowing nurturing to enter your awareness. And then when you're ready, breathe out through your mouth and allow the obstacles to crumble away. Let's do it one final time. Nurturing energy in, obstacles gone as your breath releases. So gate 39 brings us this lightning type of energy. Imagine it coming down to break open the stones and the obstacles and things that are stopping us from reaching our goal. Now, let's get a little bit more practical, shall we? So you should be able to find down below a little worksheet activity that I've got, which is essentially like a provocation audit. So I'm going to get you to, sorry, my cat is being a bit disruptive. Hopefully he won't keep going. Right, let's see. Anyway, we're going to start off. So the first part of the worksheet is to actually really think about for you, what are your provocations at the moment? So think of your top 3 business frustrations, and this could be all kinds of things. It could be something related to your finances, maybe around how your cash flow is going or how profitable you feel your business is. There could be some frustrations related to people. Is there something that's not quite aligning in your relationships that is making it difficult? Are you having trouble managing your team? Are you having trouble perhaps with the way that people are responding to you? And there can be a whole range of things around people. Even hiring the right people can be a big thing. It could be around your marketing and your sales. Are you actually able to find the clients you want? How are you managing to stand out? What about time management? Are you trying to do too much? Particularly if you're a solopreneur, essentially, we can get caught up in just trying to keep all the balls alive in the air and struggling to do everything, even though we're not actually meeting our gifts at the moment when we do that. And of course, that leads to burnout. Maybe you feel like you've hit a plateau in your business and things are just not growing, or perhaps you just feel like your business is out of control or you're out of your control. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of time, maybe even pause the video and write down what your top 3 business provocations or frustrations are. Okay. Second step in kind of doing this provocation audit is around Cancer, which is connected to the emotions. Now, for each of your business frustrations, I want you to stop and consider what is the emotional truth that's hiding underneath that frustration. So for example, do you actually need to nurture yourself more? Are you neglecting your own ability to nurture yourself by trying to do too many things for too many people? Do you have some kind of a security wound, where you feel like you have to accumulate and be secure in everything that you're doing? It could be a sense that people just don't understand you. You're not seen, you're not heard. These can be projector issues, talking as a projector. So think about what might be underlying that. Now, this can be the really impactful part of this audit, because once you acknowledge and name the emotions that are creating the frustration, you've actually got a point to work from. So then the third part is to actually come up with some kind of action that allows you to feel like you've got a breakthrough happening. So thinking about the idea of nurturing your clients. Is there some way that you can tweak your offers to make them feel more nurturing? Maybe tweak your marketing to make it feel like you are really recognizing and almost giving a warm hug to your clients, in an energetic sense, of course. It could be recognizing that you are dampening down your natural creativity because that doesn't feel like what you should be doing as an entrepreneur. So remember that gate 39, through provocation, is there to actually create the pressure that lights our creativity. So think about what that could be. So let me walk you through perhaps one of my business frustrations. So I am a projector, which brings its own levels of frustration and bitterness for those people who know about projectors. So one of my top frustrations at the moment is actually around visibility and being seen and being invited into working with someone. And the emotional depth to this, the truth that's hidden here, is a rejection wound that I am and have continued to be working on. It is an ongoing kind of wound that projectors tend to have. So if you're a projector, consider if this is one of your wounds. So how do I counteract that? Basically by going back, thinking about what my design is all about. How am I designed to be visible? How am I designed to reach out and communicate with people? And this really is about me changing the words, the context, even the energy around what I'm bringing out to be seen in the world. So that's a little example of how you can kind of work through it. So then I just think about, in terms of my messaging, how do I actually need to change that to lift that up? Okay, so when it is the full moon, this is a perfect time to actually see what the blocks are that need to be released. Now, because this is a Cancer full moon, you're going to be looking particularly at things around emotions. So how are your emotions blocking what you're actually wanting to create in your business? And then what dynamic changes can you bring about? So really spend a bit of time journaling on that. Now, if you're watching this and it's not actually the full moon in Cancer, then just generally think about what's blocking you, what needs to be released, and how can you make that more dynamic in your business. Now, another useful thing to do is probably for the next week or so is to actually have on your desk, in your workspace, a bowl of salt water, essentially, because the bowl of salt water will soak up any negative energy around your emotions in particular, which is why this works well with Cancer. But you can use it at any time. Like if I'm feeling particularly negative for some reason, I find it really quite useful just to get a little bowl, get some nice natural salt, just mix it around in that, or you can even just put a bowl just with salt in it if you want to. The water is useful if it's about emotional stuff. All right, I'm going to finish off as well as part of, taking us forward from this full moon. So we're moving into energy of essentially, what processes are going to be settling in, because you hopefully have spent some time since the new moon really building some stuff, building towards something that becomes able to be checked at the full moon. And now just settle into that. What have you birthed? What's ready to be brought out? All right, so I am using the Ancient Stones Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. All right, and this feels like, oh, maybe it's 2 cards. Yes, it is 2 cards. All right, so there's 2 cards that wish to be heard today. So, this one fits perfectly. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. Oop, let's see if we can get the camera to zero in on it. Ugh, keeps on going blurry. All right, let's go back a bit. No, ugh. Okay, very annoying. I might post a picture of it down below. All right, so it says, hidden treasure, you're on the right track, gift revealed. So this is perfect for this full moon energy where the brightness really can help us to see what we're keeping hidden, essentially. So what are your hidden treasures that are being hidden by the frustrations? Go back to, who you know yourself to be. What are your natural gifts and talents that you're here to bring out? Remember, going forward, the things that have been revealed now are taking you on the right track, and be willing to stand in the light and actually be honest about what's going on and what needs to be, changed, essentially acted upon to create that change. All right, I'm not sure that we're going to have any more luck with this one, but we'll see how we go. Oh, here we go. Camera working well today. All right, so this is the Holy Mountain. So this is perfect for gate 39. And it says soul calling, sacred journey, pilgrimage. So the pilgrimage is to go internally, like we talked about when we looked at gate 39 from the point of view of the I Ching. So go internally, spend time in stillness. In fact, I would suggest probably for the next week, as part of your daily practice, if you don't already do so, sit in meditative silence, even if that's for 1 minute, focusing in on the very center of who you are. So not on your breath, not on those kinds of things, just kind of bring yourself in. Who am I? What do I need? What am I here to express? Really focusing on that. This is saying you can find out your soul's calling. You are on a sacred journey. Your business is part of that sacred journey. Your business is here to support your soul during this life. And you are always on a pilgrimage of some kind. But at the moment, we're being called to go internally. It's an internal pilgrimage. All right. So let's see what we can take away from this. Basically, think about it this way. Obstacles are not something that are there just to block our way. They're actually invitations for us to go internally, to see what our emotional truth is, and then from that point of truth, find aligned ways to actually work around these business frustrations, these obstacles that feel like they're stopping you from being where you want to be. Now, if you would like to really dive into your full blueprint, then you can book in for a visibility key session. So this is a practical session where we look at part of your design and give you some practical steps, some actions to align to that. So it could be tweaks, or it could be, oh, I haven't been doing that enough. So big, almost pivot that could be necessary. Or there is the 4-key package. And basically, the first 5 people will also get a special decoded bonus. So the links are down below for that. And please go forward in the next week with gentleness and care and nurturing for yourself. Thank you for joining me today.